This morning in the Sunday Spotlight, lawmakers back at work, and there is a long to-do list. One of the most controversial, an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. The House Speaker Kevin McCarthy endorsing the idea on his own and not having a floor vote as was originally planned. Meanwhile, a government shutdown that could be just days away. This morning, lawmakers say they're working to come up with a plan, but the clock is ticking. With so much attention on what's next, this morning I speak exclusively with Southern Arizona GOP Representative Juan Ciscomani. And we start with the impeachment inquiry. This is into the president and his family's business dealings. While Democrats and even some in the GOP say there is no evidence of wrongdoing, leaders say this is a chance to get some questions answered. So here's what happens now. While it's being led by several committees, it's being led by the Oversight Committee. The Judiciary Committee and the Ways and Means Committee will also play a part in all this. Once those committees decide if the president committed a high crime or misdemeanor, they will draw up the articles of impeachment, which the whole House will vote on. And that's where we start this morning with Representative Ciscomani.
And what are your thoughts on it? Where do you stand? Is it the right move?
It is the right move, and I am supportive of this inquiry. I think that it's you named it right. It's opening up the inquiry. What this basically does, important for people to understand, is that it gives Congress additional tools to be able to have full oversight and capture all the information that has happened. The allegations are troubling that I've seen so far, not only from his actions, but his actions related to his family affairs as well. These are all things that we need to know about. And in order to know how far this could go, we need to have all the information. Transparency is key here. That is the main thing. What we're doing here is moving to the next step where all the information should be available now to Congress regarding what's happened.
As you know, Speaker McCarthy did this on his own earlier this week. Not long ago, he said there would be a House floor vote. That did not happen. What do you think about that?
Well, the House vote is still on the table. I think that's still a possibility. Right now, he did this he led on this, and the Speaker of the House has the authority to do that. Actually, Nancy Pelosi did that in 2019. So there is a precedent for the Speaker doing this. And as things evolve, we may need to take a vote on the next steps, and that's what we're going to deal with that issue when we get there. But for now, this is on full steam ahead, and we're going to take this opportunity.
So to be clear, if this had gone to open the inquiry, if that had gone to a House vote, you would have supported that?
With what I've seen, yes, this is the right move. And now we're going to see what the next steps are. And remember, what this does, this opens up the Congress's ability to be able to garner all the information and support transparency.
From some of your House colleagues on the far right, from Matt Gaetz, for example, he is trying to threaten to remove the Speaker. Do you still support the Speaker?
I support Speaker McCarthy, yes. And he's leading right now in the way that you look at the beginning, how people thought, oh, you can't get this done, you can't get that done. And we have been able to do quite a bit. We've been able to pass the agenda that we set out to do. I don't think it's healthy for these kind of attacks to be coming on consistent basis, just really stopping the progress that we could be making, that we ran on, that we have all the tools to do. The Republicans have the majority in the House. There's so much that we need to be working on right now. And some members are focusing on the wrong things. They're focusing on the next headline instead of the next generation, Andrew. And I'm here to work and get results.
I want to ask, have you reached out to those members, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Matt Gaetz, and just see where they stand on things?
Well, listen, I think they let us know where they stand on these things. Right? I don't think anybody is wondering what's on their mind. I think they'll let us know, and they do let us know. And we talk. Listen, we're on the floor often, and we don't agree on everything. But I think we have to learn how to work together here. And when I say work together, I've always talked about this. It is with Republicans, even those that we may not agree on the way that we all do things. And it's also with Democrats and whoever wants to make sure that our border is secure, that we're spending less money and we're being responsible. I want to work with people to move forward. It's not a personality thing and it's not a party thing. It's a progress and results issue for me.
So while this inquiry is getting started, there's a potential government shutdown looming. September 30th is that deadline. The clock's ticking for sure. How confident are you, at least when it comes to House Republicans, that everyone's going to get on the same page and try to keep at least the doors open?
Well, I have to stay optimistic on this. As an appropriator, we've done our job. We passed 10 out of the 12 bills out of the Appropriations Committee, bills that I'm proud of, bills that reflect the savings where they need to be, and also funding the government responsibly. We can't have erratic cuts to areas that would be harmful to the public. We need to turn this big ship around of spending that has been going in that direction for a long time. So what we need to do is we've done responsibly. We've reduced spending in the areas where we need to and can, and we've passed those bills out of committee. And now they're need to be going on the floor, and this is where it's getting bottleneck of some members wanting less resources, more on the cutting side, that eats into some of the key services that we need to continue to provide in a responsible basis. And that's what we haven't reached an agreement on. And quite frankly, the shutdown idea is something that I do not support. I've been very clear on this from the very beginning. Nobody wins with the shutdown. Our firefighters immediately get 50% pay cut. This heavily hurts wildfires on the west side, especially of the country, and that's obviously somewhere where we are. CBP and Border Patrol agents don't get paid. Now you're going to have all these men and women that are putting their life on the line in probably the worst crisis that we've ever seen, not able to pay their mortgages, by the next paycheck. These are all things that I am very conscious of and know that how it can impact not only our district but the entire country. So the shutdown is an option that is not an option for me. So I am working hard and overtime in every way that I can to avoid that and make sure that we pass the bills that we've already passed. Now, to be frank with you, we've been here for 1.5 days already. We have a few days left, and we haven't been able to vote on any of the bills this week. Not looking very promising in terms of getting all the bills through. So we're going to have to look at alternative options.
I want to talk about the continuing resolution option in a second, but first, you mentioned the shutdown and the potential consequences. You've got furloughed workers, national parks see some impact, passport applications slow down. There's already a big backlog on that.
That's right.
You're talking about, staffing. It also affects regular folks just trying to, do things after the pandemic. What is your message to folks who may be impacted?
That I'm fighting personally for this. I understand the potential risk of this and how that would impact their daily lives. We don't want that. And it's not only the people that are being impacted by this that happen to work for the federal government, but this is the general public as well. This impacts safety. This impacts business. It has a ripple effect. It impacts the trust of people in the market. I mean, I could go on and on. This is not anything that we need to be advocating for or to have that option on the table.
You talked about the continuing resolution option. Even that is running into trouble, according to the latest reports, again, from some on the far right. Would you support a continuing resolution, and how much do you want to see your colleagues get on board?
Well, listen, you have any continuing resolution, whether it's a short-term one of 4 weeks or a longer one, it needs to pass the House, it needs to pass the Senate, and it needs to be signed by the president. So whatever it is that we're looking at on the continuing resolution, if something is going to get passed on the short term, I wouldn't support a long-term resolution, which basically just adopts all of last year's budget and overspending back this year. That's not what we ran on. That's the opposite of what we ran on. We ran to actually reel in all that spending. So a long-term CR, as it's called, is also not a viable option.
And on the potential for a shutdown, Mr. Ciscomani also says while he's optimistic lawmakers can come to some sort of a deal to keep negotiating while keeping things open, there's a long way to go. Again, that deadline is September 30th. That is it for this week's Sunday Spotlight. Thank you for joining us. 13 News Live this morning. Back after this quick break.